Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about this is Fate. The show has taken a 2-year sleep and Preeta has returned to Mumbai because she was transferred to a clinic in Mumbai, and Preeta was shocked to find out that Mahesh has become mentally unstable. Let's continue. Sarla says to Janki that she has warned her a lot of times to never mention the name of the Luthras because they have all forgotten them, and even Preeta has. Grandma asks Sarla that why is Sarla scolding Janki, because Sarla must not look at her outer appearance, but Sarla should listen to her heart because Sarla still yearns for the Luthras. Sarla replies that it is not the case as she has forgotten them. Sarla says that Preeta spent 2 years away from this city to forget the Luthras, and she desires that Preeta should even forget the road that leads to their house. The author of Preeta stops in front of the Luthra mansion. Preeta saying the house recalls the day when Karan says that Preeta and Karan will never be together ever again, and Karan kick her out of the house. Preeta managed to step out of the auto while walking towards the house. She recalled how once Karan would not even feel like leaving her side, and she sees the nameplate of the Luthra mansion. Then she recalls how Mahesh explained that Prithvi has taken control over everything and he requested her to save everything. Preeta also remembers the promise which Karan made that he would never leave her hand, and he explains that it will really be difficult for him to live alone without her, and she mentioned that there's no need for him to ever think of living alone, and Preeta opens the gate of the Luthra house. Preeta is slowly walking into the Luthra mansion, and the guard stops her and asks that who is she and who does she want to meet. Preeta asks about the old staff, and the guard explains that they have been changed, and now they are the ones who have been working since the past 1.5 years. The guard says that Preeta must have an appointment letter if she desires to meet anyone from the family or the permission of Prithvi Malhotra. However, they hear the car of Prithvi arriving, so they request Preeta to go out. Preeta quickly hides behind the wall, and Prithvi steps out of the car. Preeta is shocked to see Prithvi. Preeta thinks that the last 2 years, they got Prithvi thrown into the jail, so how did he come back? She plans to surely find out what happened in the last 2 years. Prithvi realized that someone ran away from there, so he asks the guard if someone came, and they explain that a woman came. However, she was not allowed to go inside. Prithvi walks into the house and he thinks of Preeta. Prithvi says that he has thought of Preeta after 2 years, but now it would be better if Preeta never come in front of him. Otherwise, he will do to her what she herself can never think of. Preeta climbs the back stairs of the house and she opens the window to enter the house, just as she did in Agra Peresh when Karan left her on the roadside all those years ago. She takes a step forward, remembering the old memories, and she walks into the hall in a state of tension. Preeta started remembering how she used to live in the same house as a member, and then she remembered the request of Mahesh to save his house from Prithvi, who has captured everything, and even Rishabh has not come. The doorbell rings. Preeta immediately hides. Girish comes there running to open the door. Prithvi comes in and says that it took Girish 30 seconds before opening the door, and if he did not come into the house within 5 minutes, then Girish would have been thrown out. Girish explains that Samir got sick, so he had to take him to the hospital. Prithvi explains that he is the one who pays Girish, so Girish works for him and not for the Luthras. Prithvi sits on the sofa and Girish places an alarm bell, which he rings, so the entire Luthra family comes to stand in front of Prithvi. Prithvi asks that why do they not have any puja in this house. Kritika replies that it is because Prithvi doesn't like it. Prithvi says that before, he just had a suspicion that Kritika was a fool, but now, ever since she stood by Preeta in deceiving him, then he knows it for sure that Kritika is foolish. Prithvi then asks Shelin for her opinion, and Shelin replies that it is because they would have to pay the priest. Prithvi explains that only Shelin is sensible, and this is the reason because the puja is held, so the money comes into this house, but every time the priest comes to their house, then instead he takes the money, and he only likes the money in his hand. Prithvi standing says that now no doctor would come into the Luthra house without his permission because he has spent a lot of money on their expenses, including Mahesh Luthra, but now he will not spend any more money. Kritika tries to explain that Samir had a really bad fever, so he needed a doctor. Prithvi, standing in anger, says that they should have given Samir some tablet because he would not have died with just a fever. Prithvi leaves, saying that all the Luthras should be thrown into the bin. Raki leaves, informing Karina that it is time for her to give Mahesh his lunch. Kritika asks Girish that why did he tell Prithvi about the doctor. Girish replies that he got scared and he apologized. Preeta, standing behind the curtain, wonders why is Prithvi acting as the boss of the house and everyone is really scared of him. How did Prithvi get control of the financials of the Luthra family? Raki explains that she now desires to feed Mahesh with her own hands, but she knows that Mahesh is in the basement and there is no enough light there. Shailene replies that she would feed Mahesh herself, as Raki knows that the nurse is really ill-tempered. Shailene takes the plate. However, Prithvi stops Shailene, informing that whenever Mahesh sees anyone in his room, then he gets irritated. So if Mahesh in anger harms Shailene, then he will not be able to afford her treatment. Grandma cries, saying that her son has lost all the ability to think. Prithvi says that Mahesh just made one right decision by giving him the authority to make all the decisions of the business and their property. Thanks to him, as he has kept them all alive. Karan walks over to the family and he asks Grandma that what has happened. However, Grandma doesn't say anything. Prithvi, walking down, asks that how would Grandma rejoice at the news when her son has gotten mental, and this is why Grandma is crying. Karan wants Prithvi to watch his tongue. Prithvi asks if Karan did not hear that his father has been declared mental because he acts like an animal and he hurts everyone. Karan wants Prithvi not to say a single word against his father. Prithvi asks that what does he think, because Karan is just a normal employee and he is the one who takes the decision of shining bright. Prithvi says that he knows how much this job is important for Karan because he needs to keep an eye on him. But if Karan ill-treat him ever again, then Karan will be kicked out of the house. Prithvi calls Girish and asks him to give Karan dry fruit so that Karan can have a bright eyesight and a sharp brain to know who the owner of the house is. Karan says that if Rishabh was here, then he would have seen what Prithvi would say. Prithvi explains that as long as Mahesh is alive, then he is the owner of this house. But after Mahesh dies, then the property will be divided equally between the both brothers. Karan gets really angry and he tries to fight with Prithvi, but Raki takes Karan away. However, Prithvi wants them to make Karan remember. Kritika tries to leave, but Prithvi stops Kritika and asks if she forgot that he is her husband who loved her a lot, but Kritika lost that right when she deceived him with Preeta, and he will not forget it for the rest of his life. Raki says that she has asked Karan a lot of times not to argue with Prithvi, otherwise Prithvi will stop the treatment of Mahesh, and she asks if this is what Karan wants. Raki then says that if Karan wants to do anything, then Karan must find Rishabh, as Rishabh is the only one who can handle Prithvi. Karina also explains to Karan that he doesn't know how to handle the business when Rishabh has done it a lot longer, and also Rishabh is really matured. Even Grandma asks Karan to try and find Rishabh. Karan leaves, so Karina requests Raki not to be worried. Raki explains that she is fine and they both must rest. Preeta, still hiding, thinks of how she wishes that she could go and meet Raki to comfort her. Raki, sitting down, cries and says that her entire family are scattered because there is neither Rishabh nor Preeta in the house to make everything fine. Shailene comes to Raki and says that Preeta would never come back to their house because Preeta was a bad phase of their life which has passed, and there's even a more dangerous thing which is to come, but it would even end soon. Preeta is working in the night and she is constantly thinking about what she saw in the Luthra house. She wonders how Mahesh became a mental patient and Prithvi took control of the entire Luthra mansion. Preeta is suddenly put to the side by Shriti, who asks that what was she doing in the middle of the road. Shriti says that she has ordered some Chinese for Preeta, knowing that she must not do so in the night, but she could not control herself. Preeta is still thinking about the Luthra house. Shriti asks Preeta that what happened. Preeta whispers something to Shriti that she is not able to hear. Shriti, stopping the auto, asks Preeta to come and sit as they need to go back home. Shailene is walking and Prithvi walks past her. He pulls her with him. They both enter the room and Shailene asks Prithvi not to pull her like this as she is still standing by her family like a daughter. Prithvi says that Shailene is doing a brilliant job by acting as a caring daughter-in-law. Shailene informs Prithvi not to instigate Karan like this because if he starts taking interest in the business, then it might end his own interest. Prithvi explains that Karina Luthra ruined her entire family when she sent him to get some business papers signed from Luthra. If you watch that update, I actually made mention of that I think this thing that Karina did will later turn into problem for them. Sherlyn says that Prithvi did a really good job, but what would happen if his action kills Luthra? What would they do then? Prithvi says that Mahesh will not die because the nurse is giving Mahesh a medicine that will slowly drive him mad, but it will not kill Luthra, as his health is the reason that the post of Prithvi is valid. Prithvi says that everything should be just as it is because everyone would think that Mahesh is half mad, but in reality, Prithvi is the one attacking him, and he is even then transferring the entire business from their company to his. He is doing it with an immense pace because if anything happens, then he will still be able to be the owner of at least 50% share. Prithvi says that if Mahesh dies, then his property will be transferred between his sons. Rishabh will be the owner of 50% share, meaning that Sherlyn will get it. So them, while the other will be of Karan, for whom they have Natasha, Sherlyn's so-called sister. And Prithvi asks that where is Natasha? Sherlyn replies that Natasha will be somewhere making videos. Natasha is in the room and she is dancing and making a video, saying that her aim is to be the dance queen. She stands in front of the camera, but she forgot the remote. She managed to turn the music on, and after it's complete, she sits down to upload the video, and she checks how many followers have increased. Sherlyn comes there asking that what happened. Natasha replies that she was just making a dance video since she is the queen. She asks Sherlyn how many followers would have increased, and Sherlyn replies that 5 or 10. Natasha, hearing this, checks her account and she is shocked as only 5 have increased. Sherlyn assures Natasha that soon more followers would increase. Natasha is excited and Sherlyn advised Natasha to focus more on Karan since he is depressed and alone, and she will be able to get a lot of money from him. Then any other source, she puts Natasha with her. Grandma is performing the puja in the Aura house. Janki says to Saula that she is not able to find one of the dupatta. Grandma coming back says that she knows that it will be Janki's dupatta since Janki always loses her things. Janki tries to blame it on Grandma's cough syrup, and Grandma says that she has not had any cough syrup since the past 2 years when she will pray for Preeta once again to have a normal life. Saula, getting emotional, says that she is really grateful that Grandma prayed for Preeta. Grandma replies that Preeta might be Saula's daughter, but she is her granddaughter. Janki, saying that Preeta is arriving, asks Preeta to freshen up as they would all have dinner together. Grandma says that Preeta will not eat with them. Instead, she would devour the Chinese food that Shruti has ordered. Shruti leaves to warm the food herself. Saula asks Preeta if everything is alright, but Preeta assures Saula that there is nothing wrong. However, there were a lot of patients, and Grandma says that it would have happened because after 2 years has passed, a lot has changed. Preeta leaves to her room. Janki comes there and explains that she thinks that Preeta is not worried, but she is tensed. Saula says that she can see it from Preeta's eyes, so she knows that Preeta is still thinking about the past memories that Preeta has tried to forget from this city. Grandma asks Saula to give Preeta some time, and Saula agrees with Grandma. Karan is sitting in his room trying to work, but he is not able to. Natasha and Sherlyn sees him from the corner of the room, and Natasha asks Sherlyn to leave both of them alone since she cannot do this when Sherlyn is present. Sherlyn says that she has no interest in seeing her, but Karan has no interest in Natasha. Natasha goes to Karan's room and she tries to impress Karan, saying that Karan must focus on her. However, Karan corrects her, and Natasha says that sometimes she makes the mistake on purpose so that she can be corrected, and she goes outside saying how stupid is this for her. Sherlyn comes to her and she says that Natasha should stop this madness of dancing. Natasha leaves in anger. Preeta is sleeping and she begins to dream of the day that she was thrown out of the Luthra house. Raki is also having the same bad dream and she wakes up. Raki, sitting down on her bed, says that not a single day has passed when she did not see Preeta in her dream, and she cannot even go to Preeta's house to see if she is alright. Raki wondered how did her relationship with Preeta turn so bad, and she really wished that she can go and see Preeta with her own eyes one more time. Preeta also in her dream sees Karan, saying that she should never think of walking on the same street with him. Grandma and Karina also scolded Preeta, blaming her for everything in her dream. Even Kritika says that she hates Preeta. Preeta started requesting them not to do this in her sleep, and Preeta begins to say it loud. Shruti wakes up and wondered what is wrong with Preeta, that Preeta is begging some people in her sleep. Then Shruti shouted and called Sala. Alright guys, I hope this answered the question for someone that asked in the comment section that who is Natasha and how did she enter the Luthra house. So it was Shelly that brought Natasha into the Luthra house so that Natasha can marry Karan after they've thrown Preeta out of the house. So Natasha will now continue, just like Mahira and Sonakshi. Natasha would also play a part in trying to get married to Karan. And it is the same Natasha that would end up killing Karan. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.